Hey, I'm your host, Dr. Desiree. I'm an orthopedic and pelvic floor physical therapist specializing in women's health, aka pelvic floor. I'm a wife, mom of 3, foodie, lover of all things movement and nature, and I'm super passionate about educating, empowering, and supporting other women like you to find and maintain balance throughout all aspects of their lives, without pain, pressure, or peeing their pants. And this is the Balanced Momtality Podcast, where we will talk about all things pelvic floor, your core, and optimizing your pregnancy, birth, and postpartum recovery, providing you with the knowledge and tools so that you can feel like the strong, playful, and happy mom that you and your family deserve. Now let's get you out of those pads and back to loving movement. Fill up your water, pop in those AirPods, roll out your mat, and let's connect. Before we start today's episode, just a quick disclaimer that anything mentioned in this podcast is not meant to treat or diagnose any medical conditions. If you have any questions or concerns about your healthcare needs, please seek the care of your medical provider. This is also a safe space where we will be talking about very sensitive but important topics, such as issues with peeing and pooping, relationships, and even sex. So if you have littles around, probably a good idea to pop those AirPods in. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hey girl, I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving and had a lot of time with family and friends and all of those delicious, yummy foods that we love to indulge in this time of year. And hopefully you caught last week's episode. We only had one because I was giving myself a little break for the holidays, and we were talking about how to navigate that inner food noise, that stress around eating those sweets, not moving as much around the holidays, and how we can see it as a moment of progress as opposed to something that's sabotaging our progress. And it all comes back to being intentional about what we're feeling, what we're doing, what we're eating, and a little bit of rest and a little bit of delicious comfort food. Not a bad thing. But today we are diving into a little topic that is near and dear to my heart because I used to literally just say I got my PhD in procrastination because I had made it all the way through my doctorate program feeling like I was just a pro procrastinator. I had completed everything, hence the pro part, but I always felt like I was procrastinating. And that has just been kind of my MO my whole life. I always felt like someone that procrastinated. I always did my homework the night before, started studying for tests the night before. That was just kind of how I worked. And I realized as I've gotten older that a lot of it is how I work, but it's because I'm a little bit ADD. I kind of forget that there's priority of these things. It's not that means I'm successful at procrastinating. I mean, yes, okay, I've become successful and I have procrastinated a lot in my life. But with that being said, it's not to say that procrastination is a good thing if you can still succeed with it. I think procrastination is something we should still be aware of and probably something that we should kind of take a deep inner look on. And we're all procrastinating something, whether it's procrastinating that next house project you have going on, procrastinating going to the store, procrastinating calling your mom, procrastinating going back to school for this dream job you want, or procrastinating your health. Because let's be real, babe, if you found yourself avoiding the thing you know would help you, this episode is for you. And again, I live this story, which is why I want to show up here for you other procrastinators out there today. And maybe you don't feel like a procrastinator yourself, but like I said, we all go through these waves where we do put things off, and that is procrastination. So this episode is going to be helpful for you whenever those moments arise, but especially if you're someone like me who feels like they arise a little bit more often than you would like to admit. And the reason is this is not just who you are. Yes, that might be a piece of how you work, how you've been accustomed to functioning, how you've showed up for in survival mode to function, right? That's what I'm realizing the more I get out of this procrastination state and look at my way of living and my way of being through a more intentional lens, I start to self-reflect, right? That's the beautiful thing of growth. We need to self-reflect in order to grow. And that self-reflection has really helped me see what procrastination is other than just putting things off. Because yeah, it is putting things off. And sometimes we want to think, oh, it's because I don't want to do it. Or, oh, it's because I don't actually really need to do that. But a lot of times it's actually the opposite, and we know we need to do that thing. And that's what makes it even harder to finally show up for it. And again, this was really a lot of my story up until, and even still, I do procrastinate things, but I don't necessarily feel like a procrastinator. Yes, there are some things like laundry. I hate laundry. I put it off. I do put it off until like this week. I had like 6 loads of laundry that I had to do, and they were just swimming all over my couch and my bed, and we just had to finally show up for it before they were all over the floor and dirty again, right? It kind of got forced into that like survival state. You better do this or no one's going to have clean clothes, or those clean clothes are going to end up dirty all over again. And nobody wants that. No one wants to do laundry a second time. But even in my own health and wellness journey, I used to procrastinate. And so obviously we're going to talk about that lens for this episode, but I want you to just bring this concept and these questions and self-reflection thoughts throughout any type of procrastination experience or anything that you're just putting off, because it's going to help you really understand that bigger picture. Is it something that you're putting off because you're afraid? Is it something you're putting off because you really actually don't want to do it, but you committed to it anyways? Like, what is that true driver there, right? Is it we're afraid of failure, or is it that we're maybe even afraid of success, which I know seems crazy, but this was something that really hit home for me when I was starting my practice. You know, I felt like I wasn't really jumping all in right away, and part of that was fear. And it was like, well, I don't necessarily think I'm going to fail because that's not an option, right? Like failure wasn't an option. I was going to make this business work. I had walked away from 3 other jobs. I was working 3 other jobs when I decided to open my practice here. I was working full-time pretty much, 30 hours a week. It was part-time, but pretty close to full-time hours at an outpatient clinic. I was also working 4 to 10 hours a week at a skilled nursing facility, PRN, just would help out every couple days here and there on the weekend. And then I also cleaned the orthopedic clinic that I worked at, because the janitor ended up moving. We needed someone else to clean, and they were just like, yeah, we need someone else to do this job. And I was just like, well, I need extra money. I'll do it. So here I was cleaning a clinic once a week, doing 2 different therapy jobs, feeling really overwhelmed. And I just had this like, I need to switch this up, right? So that's where this practice really came to be. But when I decided to start it, I wasn't really, thankfully we were in this kind of weird grace window that COVID gave us. I was pregnant, so I had just gotten put on furlough officially from my therapy practices that I was working for. So I was actually getting unemployment. So I think that built this little safety net where I didn't feel like I had to fully give it my all, right, for this new practice that I was starting. And I was trying to realize, like, why am I not fully showing up for this? And it took me that first year, where I don't even qualify that year as my business being started, because it was a pretty slow grow that first year. I also started it in a different city, and I knew I was moving. So I don't necessarily even qualify that year as when I started my practice. But the reality is that is when I started my practice. I got my business license that year. I was determined to go see patients mobile at their homes because it was, COVID times. But then I quickly kind of stepped back from that, even because I was like, it's COVID. Who wants to go into other people's houses? And I'm pregnant, right? Like, so I was using all these, yes, valid reasons, especially at the time. COVID was very scary at that time. But I also was kind of procrastinating. Let's be real. And after reflecting, I realized it was the fear of success, because I didn't know what that felt like. And I didn't know if I was capable of being able to keep up with what that looked like, right? Because I had this image in my head that it was this
constant hustle and grind to really make a therapy practice work. And I wasn't really ready for that. I was afraid of what that success would look like. So this is just to give you some idea of, some of those reasons underneath that procrastination. It's a cycle, and it's not laziness. It's actually usually a protection, right? I mentioned survival mode, and that's kind of when procrastination shows up. Because from a nervous system lens, procrastination is often a response to the overwhelm. It's not a lack of desire, right? Like, yeah, I knew I wanted a successful practice, but it sounded overwhelming, right? Like, oh, I know I want to be healthy, but all the things I have to do that sounds overwhelming. So we get put in this place rooted in fear of not doing it perfectly, or fear of failure, fear of being too much or not enough, or again, maybe even fear of success. And your brain is wired to avoid discomfort, even if it leads to healing, right? Even if you're pushing through that discomfort to elevate yourself and come out at a higher vibration, your brain is still recognizing that as a change. And change, brain doesn't like, body doesn't like. So it starts to go into a protective state. And so we want to make sure that we're being aware of how our nervous system is feeling in that state of procrastination to really see what that rooted reality is, right? What is the real reason we are procrastinating and why we're feeling overwhelmed? Is that we don't really know the process? Is it that we've been telling ourselves we're not good enough, or we've been hearing all these other people telling us this our whole life and that's the truth we're holding on to? Or is it that we're afraid when we get to that successful state, we won't be able to sustain it and keep up with it, and we don't want that to be a place that we fail either? And this does really end up impacting, obviously, your health if you're putting your health off, but also your pelvic floor. We need to make sure with that nervous system that we are regulated, right? And so when we are feeling like we aren't ready, it can show up in different ways, and it might not even be as obvious in your face that you are procrastinating. So I wanted to just give you guys like some actual real life examples, because yes, there are the obvious reasons, like or obvious moments of I am procrastinating this, but it can also be kind of subtle. So say you want to join my Restore program right now, or maybe you don't, right? Like maybe you've been listening to the Black Friday sales going on and you're like, oh, I'm just feeling this pull. I know I need to do this program, but I'll start Restore when things slow down. Oh, I'll start Restore when January comes, right? New year, new me, right? Or I'll book that session when I have time. I should be doing the breath work, but, right? Like you're just coming up with these excuses. I don't have time. I don't have energy. And that's the thing. Procrastination can show up as this perfectionism, this distraction, busy work, info hoarding, right? So maybe you're just like going through all the pelvic floor podcasts, you're binging all this information, but you're not actually putting it to work. You're not actually implementing it. And my friend, you are here. You are listening to this episode, which means you are taking that step to learn. And if we know better, we need to do better. And so the next step is the doing. And you need to start breaking down why you're not doing the thing. Is it because it's not truly in alignment with what you want to do and who you want to be? Because if that's the case, drop this shit now. Don't even listen to this podcast episode. However, you're here. So I have a feeling this is what you want to be doing. This is what you know you need. You need that connection. You need that accountability. You need that guide to walk you through and tell you what to do and how to get to be that elevated, strong, confident woman that knows how to move her body, knows when her body needs rest, knows how to talk to herself in a way that keeps her moving forward and doesn't stop her and push her deeper into the ground. That is why you are here. You know you need it. So start asking yourself why you're not. Is it that you're already doing other things and everything feels too overwhelming to add one more thing in? Because if that's the case, and that's a good reality to be aware of your boundaries, and I think that's very validating. And then we might need to reevaluate those other things you're prioritizing. Are they just as important as this healing and this work that you're trying to do for yourself? Because if you are putting everyone else first, and your reason for not working on yourself and putting yourself off and procrastinating this is because you've got all of this other stuff going on, that's a lie, okay? It's what you're telling yourself right off the bat. So I'm not calling you a liar, but I want you to think deeper than that, my friend, because why? Why is there no time for yourself? Have you stopped building those time blocks in for yourself and having those boundaries to create that space for yourself? Have you never taken the time to prioritize yourself? Because that is going to be a hard step, but you have to take that step. And why aren't you? Are you afraid you're not going to be able to do it perfect? Because that's also stuff we talk about all the time, right? It's not about perfection. It's about consistency and just showing up with intention. And that snowball gets bigger and bigger. You get that motivation, you get that consistency, you feel how good it feels in your body, and you just keep doing it. And then it becomes part of your identity. And so then you don't have to think about it as procrastinating or not. You just are. You just are being that person. You are being that energy that you are wanting to embody. And that is what's really important. So I want to invite you to some reframes when you start to hear those questions pop up in your head again, or those statements, right? Those, I'll start restore later in January. I'll call and book a session later when I have time after the holidays, right? I should be doing this exercise stuff, but I've got all this other stuff. If you're hearing those thoughts pop up, I want you to reframe a little bit. So the first one is, you don't need to do it all. You need to respond to what lights you up in this moment, right? Start small, one lesson, one breath. So if you are feeling pulled to work on yourself and you're not taking time, just pick one. Pick one thing. Pick one thing. And I want to tell you to pick breath work. Or I want you to focus a little bit more on your water intake or your sleep. So we are really putting intention into those big picture things that make a big bang for your buck. And it's one thing, one moment, one lesson, right? One thing at a time. And then the other reframe is that procrastination is not a flaw, okay? This is not just you. This is not just your bad side, right? It's a clue. So if you are feeling like you constantly are procrastinating, well, my dear, you are constantly in that state of overwhelm, and we need to bring that regulation into your nervous system. What are you protecting yourself from? Do you don't feel supported to take that next step, right? Have you never even taken that next step, so you don't know what it looks like, and you need someone to actually be there and say, look, this is what it is. We don't need to be afraid. I'm here for you, and I'm going to hold your hand through it, because this is what we do in Restore. We help guide you. I am there to help you navigate what you need to get that success that you want. And we want to ask, can you move with that fear? Not wait for it to go away, because if you're waiting to feel ready, then you will never make that change, because it is rare that the people that take action feel ready for it. Most of the time, we're just jumping in, right? Like, I didn't necessarily feel ready. I mean, I will tell you, I did not feel ready to start a business. In fact, I will never forget the moment that the business thought popped into my head. I was scrubbing a toilet at the clinic I was working at, and it wasn't like, oh, I hate this, I need to do something else. No, I was just scrubbing a toilet. And I just had this thought, this energy pop up into my head and into my being. And it was like, you're meant to do more than this. Like, yes, this is helpful, but like, you are meant for more. Not just the cleaning a toilet, but meant for more than just working at this practice. Even though I loved that practice, I felt so supported at that practice, but I couldn't live with that home and work balance that I wanted to have. I couldn't show up intentionally the way I wanted to for my family, my friends, my boss, my patients, and especially not myself. So I just had this moment of like, you need more. You're meant for more. And that whole hour and a half that I was cleaning that practice, I had already planned my business by the time I was done there. And I had told myself when I got into PT school that I would never own a clinic, but I literally cleaned the clinic that day, opened my business license the next week. Was I ready to start a practice? Did I know? Did I have a business plan? Did I know all the things I had to do? No, I did not. But I definitely just jumped in knowing that it was the discomfort that I needed. So yes, fear is a helpful response. It's your body saying, hey, this is new. Be aware, be cautious, be alert. But it's not always saying, don't do this thing. We need to question that fear because most of the time that fear is what's holding you back from that new level of yourself that you're striving for, that you yearn for. And you're the only one in your way questioning that fear in your head, wondering if it's really what you want. If it is, go for it. You can move through that fear. That fear isn't going to go away until you make that decision and feel more comfortable in that new level. And then guess what? That next thing you're going to want, it's going to look scary too, and you're going to have to do it all over again. That's the beauty of life. This is what we're here for. We're here to grow and learn. The next reframe I want you to think about is that timing matters, but so does honoring your commitment to your healing. There's never a perfect moment, so make a micro move today and don't put it off. Putting your health off and your healing off is the worst thing you can do. So even if you can't jump into the 12-week Restore program right now, which by the way, I am extending my Cyber Monday and Black Friday sale. I had quite a few of you want a few more days to talk it over with your spouses and think about it. So I did extend the Black Friday sale on Restore through this Friday. So December 5th will be the last day of that discount where you get $100 off for my Restore program. But babe, this is actually like $500 or $600 off because coming 2026, this program will be around $1,000. So right now you can join for just $397. Huge savings. So this is the time. It will never be this low again. But say that sounds too daunting, right? And again, maybe we question why, but if that is too much, that's okay. Just do a little breath work each day and know that that program is there for you when you're ready to do the deeper work, when you're ready to commit to 30 minutes a day to do a little bit of breath work, do a little bit of stretching, do a little bit of strengthening, watch some lessons that are going to help you learn more about your body and what your body's trying to tell you. That program is there when you are ready. But if you aren't feeling ready right now, that is okay. Honor your own healing and where you're at. And maybe that looks like focusing on your sleep right now. And when you get your sleep in check, then you're ready for this program or ready to do one-on-one coaching with me. But I want you to start taking action. Open the Restore app and just do one 5-minute breathwork or mobility session. And guess what? If you are not in Restore, I should have said Pelvic Floor Core and More app because inside Restore, I have 12 different 5-minute mobility routines. But even if you're not inside that, Pelvic Floor Core and More has one 5-minute breathwork routine inside the free Pelvic Floor 101 class. So if you haven't gotten into the free Pelvic Floor Masterclass with its own breathwork exercise built in, definitely click the show notes below because it's free. So go join that now because that is a simple, easy thing to take action on. Hit start. I'll walk you through a little bit of breath work, and then you can feel confident and happy that you showed up for yourself today. But also schedule that consult. If it has been on your mind, now is the time. Make that call. Let's do a phone consult and let's see if this is a good fit for you, or do one-on-one coaching with me. My prices are increasing in January for my one-on-one sessions as well, so this is the time. I'm even offering packages so that you can get a bunch of sessions at this lower price and then use them throughout the next year. So those are options. But put the app on your home screen so that you can see it. And then you will also make sure your notifications are on because I'm sending you reminders and little bits of inspiration throughout the week to stay showing up for yourself. Prioritize yourself, even if it's just 5 minutes. If procrastination has been holding you back, I want you to know it doesn't define you. You are not behind. You are invited to move forward. You're not just healing a muscle. You are reclaiming your life. And again, Restore is open and on sale through 5. And if you've been meaning to join this is your sign. It is not too late. You're not behind. You are right on time. You are right where you need to be. And I'm so glad that I am here in your circle. Let me know if you need any other support or any clarification on anything to clear that overwhelm and help you move forward. I will see you here next time on the Pelvic Floor Core and More show.
Well, that's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day. I know you've got so many other important things going on, but I hope it was helpful and you leave here with some tools to help you in your healing journey. And I just want to ask you, if you have found this helpful, to please leave a review on iTunes. Scroll down to the bottom of my podcast page and leave that 5-star review so it can help other women see this information. And also, if you want to be a part of my community of amazing women trying to balance all the things, great tips and insight and sharing stories and just motivating each other along the way, feel free to join my Facebook group, The Balanced Momtality Wellness and Support. I hope to see you here next time on the Balanced Momtality Podcast.